This is really tough for her to do. We've been practicing for this big event of showing you how she could actually stay in a sit stay without popping up here in a very busy place. It was not easy, but she finally learned. And we even got carts going past and everything, guys walking past with who knows what those things are. And good, she gets her reward. See how, nope. So she has that, what I call that prairie dog thing where she'll stand up on her hind legs. So when you reward her, you need to go, wait till they pass by. Nope, okay. She shouldn't have popped up, but I'll give that to her. You need to go like this. Good, like straight down, so she doesn't have a chance to go up on her hind legs. And then of course, this is a great sit stay. We got a bunch of pumpkins passing by in carts. But see how she's just looking at me? Like if you do this, she'll ignore everything else and be all into you. And this really develops a very high level of focus. I'm letting her, I can tell she's in the zone, so I'm gonna let her stay another few moments until I release her. Go. See how, go. See, she was like locked into that sit stay. They're just starting to get it now after weeks of practicing here, but this level of focus on you, developing this, even though she wants to get paid, it doesn't matter how we develop it. It's a very high level of focus that she has now to be able to stay in a sit stay and not pop up with all this stuff going on around her. So, like I've said before, I think it's in one of the other clips in their video, that we're after the byproduct of being able to do this is over time, just in general, a much calmer dog 24/7. That's the real reason for doing it exactly the way you see us doing it here. Okay. Down. And with her, like I told you before, her down, sometimes, whoa, look at this. Good girl. See how she looked back at me? No, that was hard. That was really hard for her, and I'm amazed as they were coming towards us that she didn't pop up. She got a little bit spooked when that other cart went behind her. I just said no, and I put her back. So here comes something else. Good. See how I'm rewarding her before she sees it? Are you going this way? No. Okay. I'm not holding her down. I was just standing on the leash just in case she did pop up. Good. But you see, she's being successful most of the time, and this is really tough. And she's actually exceeding my expectations of how well she was going to do in this video. She's actually really coming along, so much better than she used to be. So this is the documentation of how far she's come. Good girl. She's getting rewards. See how I'm rewarding her? It's just like on the mat. It's because of doing the mat exercise that she's able to finally do something in real life like this. So she put herself back, which is good. One last reward. Good. She waits to be released. Okay. Sit. And go. Go. Remember, always release her out of that downstay and then have her sit. And she's still on the clock until you release her out of that sit stay. We're not doing it the way maybe it was used to be done, where you just say, okay, and they jump up and they run around, because we want her to have this really calm, this calmness that grows in her. Every time we release her from that downstay, she keeps a little bit more of that calmness. It's very fragile. If we release her in an exciting way and she jumps up and starts running around, we kind of destroy that calmness we're trying to develop. So it's so much easier to reinforce a calm release from a sit stay the way that we do it. So that's why we're releasing her from a downstay in that way. Ready? Sit. See how Papa does with his sit stay out here at Home Depot. He's not quite as good as Mina is. Not the solid rock solid sit stay. See how I popped up because the speaker went off. So no. If he pops up, you just say no, reset him with that do-over circle there, put him back, and let's just shoot for just doing a basic sit stay without him popping up, where I walk around both ways. And then, oh, he's doing really well. Wow, this is good. And then he gets a reward, good. And then he waits to be released. Nope. I want to make sure the camera sees this. Okay, so he popped up, I put him back. So he waits to be released, go. That's how you release him out of the sit stay. Down. Uh-oh, giant cart coming our way. They stop at the most inopportune place. Yeah, just shoot around them. Just walk so that you can see around it. Good. You see how he's looking at me? Catch that? Good. So practicing here has taught him to be averted to distractions. He averts his eyes, he turns his head, a distraction shows up, he turns towards me. Why does he do that? Because hundreds of times in a row now, I've rewarded him, I paid him. He pops up, nope. This is a bit more than this little guy can handle. But if he pops up, he's saying no. I just stepped on the leash with a little bit of tension there. He chose to go back. We'll finish this down stay. He's doing really well though. See how calm he is? Good. You can see how testing his skills out in real life really makes the calmness good. The calmness kick in. You see how if somebody's walking up to us, there's a distraction. They'll usually stand in front of the camera like that. But then, good, he's still there. So this is really, all of a sudden we got a rush of people coming in with carts and everything, and he's doing really well. But it's the rewards. See how giving him the reward, I'm not holding him down. It desensitizes him to distractions. So if he's munching out on a little reward as the distraction approaches and passes by, it's usually enough to keep him focused on what he's doing here, and he doesn't lose focus and pop up because there's a big cart or something coming past him. So that was really good for him. Okay, you always say okay. He gets up, you say sit, and then release him from a calm sit stay. Go. Good job, buddy. All the way around, excellent. Sit stay. And now we're going to go back next to them on your left. And go. Excellent. Okay. Now we're going to do a down. Practice the down. Remember how to do that, Ronnie? Yes. Well, Ronnie is not a trainer. Ronnie hasn't handled them before like this, so we are going to see if this can work. So we're going to do down stays here. Down. We're going to step away from them. Then we're going to walk around them. Walk around the other way. Down stays with the two dogs together. It's very hard for them to do it when they're right next to each other. Very difficult. They keep wanting to pop up and run around, jump around like they always do together. So doing the training with them like this is very valuable. And just say no. Don't say down again, just say no. We're going to do it again. Walk around. We're almost done if we can just get them to stay. You know, this is just the beginning of doing this with each other because they couldn't do this a week ago. We walk around both ways. They're staying down next to each other. It's very difficult for them to do this. They have a really hard time focusing when they're with each other side by side. So that's why we started doing the practicing the training with them side by side. It's the hardest thing for them to do. So that was a down stay. We're going to go stand next to them. We're going to say okay, sit, and then we're going to release them. No, come on. And go. So I'm going to show you how to practice training with the two dogs. If you're by yourself, it's not the easiest way to do it, but if you want to practice a little like this, it's really good for them. Come. Call them to come to you. Good. They get little treats if you want. You don't always have to give them treats at this point. They know this so well. But they should both be on leash. And you get them next to you like this, and you can practice, for example, you can practice sit. Practice your sit stay. No. If either one of them pops up, you say no and put them back. This is the most difficult thing for them to do, to stay in sit stays and do it side by side. Therefore, I think it's something that's very important to do just a little bit every day. Just do this, what I'm doing on this little clip. One sit stay like this a day, go, then release them, and then call them to come. I'm gonna leave them off leash now. Let them go over there. Hey guys, I'm gonna toss treats over there. They're gonna be out of the shot. Hey guys, look, there's treats, look. Hey you, Mina, right here. Look, treats for everybody. Okay. See them? Come. Call them to come to you from afar. Probably do this in your backyard or in your house. They already have the leashes on. Take the leashes, bring them to a nice open spot, and then you can practice. We did sit last time, so we'll practice down. Okay, so I called them to come to me. I said down. They finally went down there, and then they popped up, and then I put them back, and just try to get them to where they stay there just for 20, 30 seconds while you do just a basic little walk around down stay. Just this is a huge success for them. Okay, and you release them. And of course, out of a down, we're gonna say sit and release them from a calm sit stay. Out of a down, no. Go, and they're free. Sit. Always have her sit first. This is an actual exercise. It helps her overall become calmer. She pops up. She's very excited. We just let her out in the yard. She pops up. You say no and just reset her like that. Nope. See how you can say no and she'll start to just go back. Open the door. I'm not restraining her. You see the leash is loose. Go. She go in. She goes in. She gets a treat. We unhook the leash. Close the door. Her routine here and Papa's routine. I'm just going to talk with her, and then I'll just show you Papa doing the same thing, but I'm not going to say the same thing twice. So I'll just explain how I do it with both of them right now. Throughout the day, they're in and out like this, and their crate is actually in the house, and we're just filming out here because it's easier to film here, more space. And every time she goes in, she gets a treat. We take the leash off, close the door. Every time she comes out, it's like this. You reach in, you get a treat. You hook her up. She's not allowed to rush out and run past you. She needs to respect this boundary. So much of this training is about boundaries and respecting the boundaries and only going through boundaries when you've allowed it. This is an extra tough one for her. She's never been in and out of her crate here in the yard, so this is different than the house. This is harder for her, but I think it's a good way to show you because it's more representative of what's going to happen to you at your house because she hasn't done this at your house when I'm not there. So make sure that you just take your time with this. No. And see if you say no, she'll back off. I don't know if you caught that. You probably saw that she stuck her head out and then I said no and she backed off. And I gave her a treat for that. And when she waits, you say, okay. She comes out. Always make sure you close the door because the power of the crate is that you control her access in and out of her den. Dogs are naturally den animals. That's Papa over there barking too. And she's barking because she's super excited. Who knows why? But anyway, you feed her in there. She gets treats, obviously, when you put her in, when you take her out, treats. Every time the hands come in, she gets a gift. You control the boundary exactly like that. Any toys that she loves, chewies, bones, always in there. You want to develop those crates as the great place to be, so there's a way to manage them. So you have a place to put them in the back room where when you have guests or when things are getting a little bit crazy, they can be back there and safe and having fun in the crate. I'm going to let her have some water there. And it's also a tool for training because you have her sit and wait, and you wait on the inside as well. So that's why we're using the crate. and it's best that they're not in the main area where they're going to see visitors come in and out, because it will just serve to overstimulate them if there's a bunch of people or new people in the house, or even in the main area where you are and they're in the crate. They can get overstimulated in that area if they're in the crate. So you want the crates in a back room somewhere, behind a closed door, a quiet room, just a quiet place where they can chill out and get calm and maybe take a nap or something like that. And then you can have a little bit more sanity in your life as well. Sit, lead him up to the crate, have him sit. Never restrain him, because restraining him causes tension and overstimulation, so that will be more likely to make him pop up more if he's nervous, stressed out because there's a tight leash. So always keep it loose. And then you can tap it and say no if he does pop up, because you have a little slack in the leash. You open the door, no. So you open the door, he needs to stay seated, nope. See, they love to go in the crate, so it's a great way to practice their anticipation problem. Goes in there. He loves going in there because in his mind, good stuff happens in there. Gets a treat. You unhook him. Always close the door. It only matters if you close the door. It only matters if you control their access in and out. So that's why this is a major boundary in their lives, of course, the boundary to their den. So we're always controlling the boundary, and it's another great way to teach them to wait for your permission to go through a boundary. So this is a tool for training, obviously. He's waiting. Okay, comes out. There we go. Always close the door so they can't run in and hang out without your permission. Okay, let's go. Okay, sit. Always walk them up to the mat. Always make sure that they're waiting until you say, make sure with him, he really wants to jump the gun at all times, so really make sure he waits. Go to your mat, walk over with him, say down. And this mat, I'm not going to do the 5 minutes here on the video, but I've worked up to doing 5 minutes with them, where I'll practice the basic downstay like this, where you just walk around both ways, and they're accepting you walking around behind them both ways like that. And then the reward is like this. Watch how I reward. No. Make sure he doesn't touch your hand. Make sure that he allows you to no. Good. Place it on the mat, and he waits till you withdraw. And then, of course, this is just this alone, and the calm reception of the treat, the way that he receives the treat from you is a lot right there, because he has to be calm. Good, and be respectful and wait until you withdraw. And that, just doing this for a couple of minutes a day helps calm him down. Then you can add other things, like if you're in a fenced yard or in the house, you can walk farther away, do bigger circles. You can walk, across the yard. If he gets up, you say no. And I wanted to show you what to do if he makes a mistake. You say no. And you lead him back to the mat. And just put him back. You say no and put him back. Don't say DOWN again. Don't say anything else. Just say no. Stay calm and make sure that you want to show where I am. And then show him again. I'm going to walk back to him now. So that was where I walked before, and he popped up. This time, he stayed there, and he gets a reward. Good. Just make sure that whenever there's a mistake that he makes like that, you reset him in that way. Everything's calm. There's no correction. Obviously, it's just resetting and trying again. He knows how to play this game now. So all you have to do are the moves, and he knows that if he makes a mistake, you're going to put him back, he gets no treat, and then you try it again. And maybe, let's say if I walk 20 feet away and he kept making a mistake, well, maybe I start walking only 10 or 12 feet and then rewarding every time he has a success, and every time that I walk away, I walk a little further. You just kind of ease him into something that's difficult for him to do. Good. Like if it's knocking on the door, maybe you start with just opening the door and then he gets a treat. And then opening it up and knocking it while you stand there and he gets a treat. And then going outside and closing it and then he gets a treat. And then going outside, closing it and knocking on it, he gets a treat. Any one of those things that he makes a mistake on, you have to, work on that and kind of ease up on it until you get him past that little hump and then on to the next little challenge. So that's just the way that we do that. That's the way I did it with, at first, I couldn't stand out here without him popping up. So I just kind of worked on it until he just got a little bit better every day. The way that you release him is, this is the only way that he leaves the mat, or any downstay actually. You come back to get him, you stand next to him like this, you say, okay, you walk him off the mat, you have him sit, and then you release him from a calm sit stay, go, and he's free. Pick this mat up because it's not a doggy bed. It's a very exclusive spot. This is only for the training. This is only for this mat exercise. This is an interactive exercise you do with them, and you don't put them on the mat and then forget about them and go away. It's about the quality of a few minutes, what you do, and the quality of the downstay, high level of focus that you practice with him. Not about him going to his place, because we're not doing that, and falling asleep and then deciding to get up 20 minutes later or whatever dogs do in that situation, and you're not even there. So this is all about developing a really solid, focused, in the moment downstay, watching you, paying attention to where you are for a few minutes, and then being released to be free by you only. So you're only going to use this mat for that. Make sure you put it away as soon as you take him off the mat. He needs your permission to go on it, and he needs your permission to come off of it, and that's the only time that he actually sets foot on this mat. Okay. Sit. Go to your mat, down. Sometimes she needs a little help. Sometimes she'll go down with the command, but occasionally you have to do this and help her down. Make sure you never repeat the command. They're both so different. One is good at one thing and another's good at another thing, and they're definitely little individuals, but both of them are, as you practice, they're going to develop a much better stay continually. Nope. Good. Over the next weeks and months that you practice with them. But you see, they know how to do this, and now with you, once I'm passing them back to you, it's just about making them better. And so we're really after the byproduct of teaching them this higher level of focus, which is that when they're on free time, they're a little bit less frenetic and kind of crazy and nope. Good. You'll see it subtly in some ways at first because they're going to be really excited to be back home with you for the first couple of weeks. But then you'll see over time when they settle in, when the newness of the new home and everything wears off, you'll see how they're really a lot different than before. You just keep this up, and then over time they'll be way easier to deal with than before because we've taught them how to think, and good. You've practiced that. You continue to practice that. So there's a dog in a yard over there that jumped against the fence, and you saw her bark, but she focused back in. She didn't pop up. She didn't go over there. So she gets a reward for that. Good. I gave her a double piece. And that's something I didn't mention to you in the Papa clip of doing the mat. When they do something exceptional, or they have made a mistake and then they have a success finally in whatever distraction you've applied to them on the mat, give them a double reward. Give them something that they remember. Oh wow, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to do it this way again because when I did it the right way, I got twice as much. They know the difference between portion. So I'm just going to walk over here like I did with Papa. Oh, she made the mistake too. Nope. Just like Papa, you do a little circle like that. You say no, which I already said. Put her back gently but firmly and go try it again. So one thing that you can do, and show me over here, is you can remind them down and then show her again. If they're making a mistake with something, the only time you'd ever say that again would be during the stay when you're practicing something that you know is something new for her and something she's not great at. When you remind her right before you do something that might make her pop up, down. It's just kind of like a reminder. And it's just something you do just while you're teaching her something new, and you don't do it again. Good, so she had a success the second time. She got paid. I'm gonna release her now. She waits till I come back next to her. Okay, sit, and then go pick up the mat, because she's not allowed. They're gonna want to go hang out on it. It's not a doggy bed, remember, it's only for doing this one exercise. Okay. Sit. We are doing the front door boundary with Papa. No, make sure that he waits. Okay, I'm gonna draw him closer. Sit to the doorway so you can see him. Sometimes there's a shadow if I have them sit farther back. See how he's waiting? I stepped out, he waits till you come back. Okay, he comes out. He tries to surge ahead past your leg. Just do a little tap. You gotta do a little left circle to close that door. You hear Mina in there barking. And then sit, and then we would go to the gate that you saw Mina come out of and do that there, and the curb. So between him and Mina, we have all the boundaries just to show you how they're handled every day here, and what you should keep doing as well, with all the doorways and gateways and curbs. Okay, well now we're gonna go out on the street and go for a walk. Sit, I'm gonna have her sit at this big gate here, and this is a tough boundary for her because it leads to the outside, and I actually have to step back a little. So this is much harder than the front door. And to make sure that you can see her, okay, sit. I'm gonna have her sit closer, make sure the camera can see her, and wait. And of course, there's all these exciting things happening out on the street. There's people behind the camera person walking around, and who knows who else we'll see out here. But I stepped out, she waited till I came back to her. Okay, make sure she doesn't pull you through. So I'll like move really slowly through a threshold like that and tap, make sure she's not racing out. And if you're by yourself, you got to do a little left circle like that to close the gate or door. It's exactly how you do your front door as well. Every boundary is the same, gateways, doors, just like that. Sit. Curbs, I treat the same way. That's why I think, nope, either when you walk them, there's either one person per dog, or you just walk the dog, separately, because there's no way that you can train dogs two at a time like this. Too much going on, and when they're together, they're much more hyper, which is pretty common. And so you want to divide and conquer. Make sure they're just good to go like this. See how much calmer she is when she's by herself? Just make them really good on their own, and then I would suggest when you start walking them together, because every curb you want to do this, there's one person per dog, and then over time, if everything is straightened out and everything's cool with the way they're behaving in general, then you can just walk them together over time. Okay, now we're going to cross the street. That was a good long little sit-stay out here. You can see all the things going on there, people loading, unloading, and that's why it's great practicing out in public, because sit, I'm having her sit here, and releasing her to be free, go. Now the walk starts, because you've got real life distractions, and that's really what matters, is how she is out here in the world. That's where we really are testing the training. Okay, let's go for a walk.